Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Board Game Geek Show for July 2024. We are not melting. We're trying not to melt anyway. It has actually cooled down in Southern California, which is a miracle, but it has been very warm. And Steven, just look at him. He looks wonderful. He just got back from a trip in the sun.
It's glowing.
And so yeah, we got Stephen Bonacore with us. We got Candace Harris. We got Eric Martin, and myself, Lincoln Damhurst. How's everybody doing?
Fantastic. Good.
Yeah.
Not as hot as you guys.
Yeah, it was hot up here. Valley's, it's weird. She's only like 15 miles away from us, 17 miles away from us, but it's a dramatic temperature difference.
Yeah, like 10 to 15 degrees cooler
easy.
here. Yeah.
Obviously, you're living in the wrong place then, Lincoln.
No, we like it here. I mean, I'm like the most flexible with it. You know, I find it funny, like it's cold or it's hot, people complaining to me. I'm like, well, you can't really do anything about it, but either bundle up or take some clothes off. So don't worry about it. Just do your best, you know? But it's been warm for sure. And you know, it's only when you're working outside on things, which we've been doing, because we've been working on the house, that's where it kicks your rear end for sure.
Sure does.
All right, fruit.
Such as when you're picking tomatoes in your garden.
See, that's Nikki is
nice.
Jealous. Nikki is absolutely, she loves tomatoes. Oh, a cucumber.
Wow.
Wow.
Those are monster. It's like the size of my head.
You can bring some of those to Gen Con
to Gen Con,
give to your
Make
friends.
a little
Eric.
crudité for us.
The peppers are much smaller. Can't do anything with those. But
Are those bell peppers, essentially?
yeah, they're just bell peppers.
Bell peppers. You can't eat them?
Wow.
No, you can. They're very small.
Oh, okay.
Tomatoes are great.
You can't do the stuffed bell peppers thing that we like to do, so there you go.
It's a
smallest
very
stuffed peppers ever.
You put the pepper inside something else. That's how you do it.
Yeah. Well, we're all getting ready to go to Gen Con. That's coming up in a short time here, and it's exciting. It's like the word is it's pretty much sold out. Like they haven't completely sold out all the tickets yet, but like hotels are smashed. It's crazy this year. I'm eager to be there. I just don't know what the end result will be like. It's going to be pretty crowded. The Hot Games Room, which BGG runs at the Hyatt Regency downtown, is still got tickets available, but like every evening is sold out at a specific point. So there's a 2-hour window. I think tickets are $4 and $6. I don't know the situation on how tickets work with the Gen Con, but you do need to have, I think you need to have pre-purchased tickets before you come. They can't use any of the generic tickets. I think they're moving away from generic tickets.
We can't take generic tickets, but we can sell tickets, I believe, at the, or you can buy them, you know, on your phone, use them right away. There you go.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a great event for the convention because we try to have as many of the games as are coming out on hand so that you can actually play them. A lot of the booths, you know, they sell out of all the titles relatively quickly because a lot of these are kind of rushed before the wide release. There is a lot different timing now. I notice many more games being released throughout the summer. So it's not just a massive glut of what it used to be, which was basically Spiel was the big release, and they'd airship in stuff for Gen Con, and they'd give, you know, sell 20 every day or whatever, or 100 every day. That isn't as bad as it has been, but it still exists. So you trying to get what, you know, it's tough to actually get what is coming out at each of these conventions. They may not be easily available. I remember SkyTeam last year in super short supply at Gen Con and very short supply at Spiel because the word was out, you know, one of the SDJ nominated games. Anything else that you guys have to say?
I'm like, right now, SkyTeam is propping up my laptop. So
it's over here by us. So we just actually our game night
very
video,
useful game.
Our game night video came out. So it's game night, date night. It's a 2-player game that just came out this morning. So that'll be yesterday when this comes out. And so we had played it a little. It was one of the earliest ones we filmed. So Candace and I was on Candace's podcast last year, and I said, coming soon is the game night, date night. Didn't happen. Yeah. It's now finally going, and we've figured out everything that we were going to do on it. Because what part of the issue is we actually have more gameplay shows. So let's go ahead and start with that. So game night, date night started 2 weeks ago. Then the following week, Candace and Derek had a new show. What's that about, Candace?
Yeah, it's called T-Forge, and it is a YouTube series where we'll mostly be doing playthroughs of Keyforge together, Derek and I, because Derek introduced me to Keyforge. I always want to like mix up T-Forge, Keyforge.
Yeah, no kidding.
Derek introduced me to Keyforge at BGG Con last year, and it was just like, it never left my mind. Like I craved playing it every day for like months and months. Wow. And I'm finally like at a point where I'm like, I love it. I still like am always down to play it, but like that has weaned off just a little bit, but it's just such a fantastic game. And I'm glad Derek finally, we like finally got a chance to play it together.
Well, Derek was ready to teach you all the time. It was
making
the time,
Yeah. It just kept getting delayed. It was like, oh, this show, no, we didn't get a chance to do it. So we finally did it. I love it. We love playing together. So we ended up deciding to launch a series where we're going to be playing through Keyforge and kind of showing off like the casual aspect of it, because it's like, I think a lot of people think with any kind of trading card games or CCGs, LCGs, TCGs, that they have to be like very competitive and you have to go be involved in a competitive scene. But it's such like a chill game to just like play casually, pick up a deck with your friends. And I think like, I'm trying to remember, but the name T-Forge kind of came up as like a fun idea when we were spitballing, like a silly thing. And we were like, hey, wait a second. What if we use this as an opportunity to like try some different teas while we're playing Keyforge? That way we could record at night. We could record an episode in the morning. So anyway, we just want to highlight, like, because a lot of people don't realize that Keyforge is back alive, yes, and kicking from Ghost Galaxy. And yeah, it's cool.
That's great.
That's awesome.
Well, yeah, thanks.
So our show is back, and so during the pandemic, we went in to do Game Night, Date Night, because we couldn't film any new stuff. We had thankfully filmed a bunch of stuff in advance. We had planned some other stuff to happen in 2020, obviously, and that didn't happen. And so during a couple of months into the summer, or a month or two into the summer, I think we finally started doing Date Night, but we didn't focus necessarily on two-player games. It was just games, because I think we did the SDJ coverage was like on live streams and stuff like that. So now we're going to try to focus on two-player games. There's a lot of great two-player games that don't get a lot of attention. Those will almost never be on Game Night. We've done some episodes where we basically were like team play of a two-player game, but we haven't, it's just not out there. And then we also have Jamie's show, Solo Mode, which is a solo gameplay show. So this is a great coverage. And now we've got, well, it's not a living card game. It's because each deck is different, which is pretty interesting.
Right.
But yeah, so we have a lot of different coverage of gameplay, which is great. And it means that basically every day of during the work week, we have a new show. We might even have more. Candace has another show coming down the pike soon.
Yep.
And I don't think it's going to be weekly or anything like that, but you can't do what you're doing on a weekly basis. Do you want to talk about it, or do you want to wait till it comes out?
Sure. Yeah, I'll mention a little bit about it, but basically I often go down tangents where I get obsessed with something. Really? Because maybe somebody maybe somebody told me about one game and that led me to find another game, and then I go like really deep with it. So I'm going to be launching a series where when these moments happen, I'm just going to tell people how I got to be in this deep obsession. And, I'll just give a brief example of one of the incidents that inspired the idea. I had Ian O'Toole on the BGG podcast with me, and Ian O'Toole and I were talking about our most played games because he logs his plays, and I was like, that'd be cool. Like, I'd love to hear about what Ian O'Toole has played the most. And one of the games was Forum Trajanum, and I had never played Forum Trajanum. I've seen it. I've seen the box, didn't know much about it. And him talking about it made me very curious about it. So after that recording, I start looking up videos, and I'm like, I've ordered a copy. I'm reading reviews. And that kind of like led me. Then I played it at BGG Spring, and I loved it. And I got my copy, and I've played it a couple times. And that led me to like Merlin and just this exploration of Feld games where I was like, I never not liked Feld. Like I played Castles of Burgundy once back in the day and I've kept it. I loved it, but I haven't gone deep. But now that whole thread just made me want to explore Feld games more.
Yeah, there's a lot of great stuff. He has produced so many fantastic games. I know that Eric goes crazy for a lot of Asian publishers. Anything that you've been obsessed with lately on your rabbit hole that you're on?
Nope.
Nope. Oh, okay. He's been on vacation too, so which is good.
Yeah, I played a few things, but yeah, but nothing from Asian publishers.
Well, yeah. Steven, I know you just came from a board game cruise that you didn't really get to play a lot of board games on. Did you play anything exciting on that cruise? I know we're not really supposed to be talking about board game play, but it's just obsessions.
Why not? We're talking about.
Well, we're going to talk about all that stuff again, so you know.
Games recently played. I think that's the segue.
Okay, we can go into that now. Might as well.
Kind of games recently played, and yeah. So you just mentioned that I was on BGG at sea, Western Mediterranean. So what an epic! It was an epic cruise, and Paula and I had an epic vacation because we spent extra time in Barcelona first, and then we went after the cruise. We went back to Italy for a week. I figured, hey, I'm there. Might as well spend an extra week in Europe. So it was amazing. But on the cruise, I played very little, actually. But the one game I did play, and I don't think I've mentioned it here at all in any of the other shows, is Let's Go to Japan. Maybe that was mentioned here. I don't remember if it was.
It's a great game.
What a different game, a different kind of game that allegedly, from what I've heard, the designer had planned a trip to Japan
with his wife
at some point, and COVID hit.
Yeah,
and COVID hit, and he couldn't do it, so he made a game around it, and it's a game about moving around Japan, and you got to sequence out. Okay, on Monday I'm doing this, on Tuesday I'm doing this, on Wednesday I'm doing this, all the way through to the end of the week, and you have to take trains maybe between Kyoto and Tokyo, or you might walk around the area. So it's got all of these very interesting, like real world ways of doing things that you would do when you're scheduling a trip. And the game just plays out very differently. And I think, with a lot of the samey kind of games that we tend to see coming out, having a game like this on an interesting topic, a game about travel. Everyone knows I'm loving travel these days. And it just really plays out well. And so that was the game that I played for a second time. I actually played it on my cruise, Podfather the Cruise, in like April, May. And then I played it again on BGG at Sea. So that was a stellar game.
Neat. Eric, have you played anything exciting? I know you have been traveling, but...
Yes. I just posted a video about Link City. It's this cooperative game
where you're essentially trying to build a city together with other people. The mayor is going to assign buildings to certain locations, with the locations in the city determined by the deputy mayor. And then everyone votes on where they think those buildings should go. And ideally, the mayor is matching everyone else. And if you are, you put them in and you score. If not, you add them to the city, but diagonally, so there's no point scoring, but you're setting up opportunities for the future. And at the end of the game, you don't care about the points at all. It is completely irrelevant.
It's more about just like, where are you going to put that massage parlor? Like, where is the appropriate place to put that?
Is that really a thing?
And
that's really a thing.
That is really the thing.
That's funny.
Also, the hourly motel. It's a French design. Come on. There's also like, the Doomsday Cave. There's an excavation site. There's all sorts of stuff in there. And the tiles are double-sided, so if you don't like something, playing with kids, whatever, just flip them over and,
I'm appalled. I'm absolutely appalled by this.
Sure. But it's
super fun just trying to match where things are. And there's so many games like this where you're trying to match what other people are thinking, but this is much more like, what things are like in the world and where you're supposed to build things and where you're not supposed to build things. But the deputy mayor said, you're going to build in these locations. And now here's where I'm going to build. I have to put this somewhere. So where am I going to put it?
That's cool.
Super fun.
Cool.
Tether, I'll just mention this as well. This is by Mark McGee, who lives just a town over from me. He's been in my house for something we did a while back. And it's his first self-published game from publisher How to Steam Broccoli. That's the name of the game. And it's a 2 or 4 player game. It's a great time.
Wow.
That's right. It's a 2 or 4 player game with a mirror deck that was designed by Daniel Solis. So the cards have the number on the top and the bottom, right? So one player is playing horizontal and one is playing vertical, and you're trying to make connections. So if I am horizontal, I could put the cards down like so on the table, right? But my opponent is going to see them like this, and they are trying to make vertical connections. And you're going to score groups when they get to a certain size, and you're trying to, you score for the width as the horizontal player. They score for the height. So you're just trying to go long, they're trying to go tall, and you're pushing groups together. They're astronauts floating in space. That's the theme here. It's astronauts floating around, tethered. And so eventually they all group together. You get a big enough group and the game ends. Or there's a mercy ending if someone has 6 points more than the other player. It's super engaging. I played it 7 times in one day. It was just like, yeah, I brought it out. We played it 3 times. Then with someone else's house that evening, we played 4 more times. It was just, it's super good. And I'm hoping he has some distribution. I don't know. We'll see. It's very cool as a first product. And it's a local guy. So I backed him on Kickstarter or whatever it was, Backyard Kit. I don't know.
Very
One of those things. I'm like, I know the guy. And it's a cool card game. Cool sounding card game. So, and it was.
Cool. Did you? I know Candace has a couple of things she's going to cover quickly. We'll see. How's this go, Candace?
So one game, and it was almost about to just be 3 little games, but one game I had to mention that I was really excited by is Railways of the Lost Atlas. It is a new 18xx game where from Asterix Games, where you are building out the map every game. So it's not like a set game board map like every other 18xx game. You're like drafting the tiles and deciding the players are like building out the map. And it just like, it has all these different modes to it, which is really cool. Besides the fact that the map is modular, even just the look and feel of it is so great. And it was one of these 18xx games where I feel like I need to get it, and then it wasn't my copy, but I need to get it, and this could probably replace like half my 18xx games because there's so much to be explored with building a modular map. It's really neat. Okay, so that was quick. Then I also recently played Huang because which is a reimplementation of Yellow and Yangtze, which is a reimplementation of Tigris and Euphrates. This one's from Phalanx. I'm going to be working on a how to play video for this game, and so I figured I should play it. And it is just, so I played Tigris and Euphrates once, loved it. Aldi taught me, I think, at the Gathering one year. But like this board and every component for this game is absolutely like gorgeous. Like I love the art style. So it has a really great look and feel to it. And then your screens have, again, I never played Yellow and Yangtze, so maybe it had the same thing, but your screens have like everything you need to know really clear and concise. And it's a game where you're playing tiles onto the board, and depending on how you play, you're scoring some points. And it's that like set collection where whatever, if there are 4 different color points, whichever one you have the fewest of is what your score will be at the end of the game. But then there are also these white victory points, which are wild, and you can allocate them anywhere. And it's just neat. It has a lot of table politics. I'm sure tons of people have already played one version of this very famous Reiner Knizia game. But anyway, so that's Huang. I cannot wait to play it more because I loved Tigris and Euphrates, only played it once. Now I own that one, like the good, what is it, the Mayfair version with the wooden pieces. So anyways, so Huang is really cool. I love abstract strategy games like that have a lot of like player interaction. Then you were talking to Eric about Asian games, and I played a little game called Witch's Shot Delivery Service. Eric, have you seen this one?
Mm-mm.
I'm terrible at putting stuff in front of the camera, apparently. This is a game where we are witches and we are delivering kind of Amazon packages. And it is a must-follow trick-taking game where the different cards have boxes on them. Different amounts of boxes on them. And you're trying to hit your bid for how many boxes, because when you win a trick, you just keep your card that you played, and you're trying to hit a bid of how many boxes you think you're going to win for tricks. But since we're delivering boxes, our spines can only hold so much. So there is a track. There is a spine track. Of course, I picked the yellow one. There we go. There's a spine track. Every time you win a trick, you're going to be gaining fatigue from carrying boxes. And then, depending on future tricks when you win, you are going to count the number of boxes on all the cards people played into the trick. And if it exceeds your current spine level, you get an injury token on your back. So it's absolutely wild, but it's so fun and really good. And then there's a concept of PTO. If you have a PTO token, you can play your card into the trick and guarantee you won't win it because you don't want to like break your spine. And
is that personal time off?
Yeah. Paid time off. Paid time off. But yeah, so anyway, I was doing a tricky imports order of some trick taking games, and I read the description of this and I was like, how do I not just buy this and try it? So it's really good. It's really good. And the last game I'll quickly mention.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've been misled here.
I feel like we're
the Kansas Harris show.
Completely misled.
Last one. A Jest of Robin Hood. This is the second game in GMT's ICS series. It's basically like a coin-like game that's 2 players, where one player is representing Robin Hood and his merry men. The other player is the sheriff with his henchmen. And this is just like a gorgeous, gorgeous game. I interviewed Fred for an episode of Cardboard Creation, which is coming out next month. And I'm just so blown away with how streamlined and how, again, a really awesome player aid where everything's there. You have your little player menu. They even give you strategy tips. There's so many cool resources for learning this game, and all of the events, like you're kind of telling a story. It's asymmetric gameplay, like the sheriff players trying to get their carts to Nottingham, and if Robin Hood robs them, and Robin Hood can rob travelers, it's just a really, really, really cool 2-player game, and it only takes about 90 minutes to play, maybe less. Okay, that's it.
Well, cool. I got a quick one. I promise it's quick. It actually plays in 15 minutes. We've had this for 9 months or something like that. It's Roman a Day from Alley Cat Games and Red Cat Games. And it's basically kind of like an I split, you choose thing, except it's with other players. You're only splitting it twice in 2 parts, and it's switching between players. You change directions each turn, who you're going to be collecting from, the tiles. And you're building like a small, you have the 5 different tile types with like wineries and olive oil and a quarry and I can't remember what the building, Coliseum. And you also have player pawns that you're trying to get. These will let you score. There goes one out of the bag, one of the Coliseums. These actually on the tiles let you score, whether it's on the matching tile or not, but any tiles that match this one, which is any red tiles matches, score. And so you're trying to like see what each player has. You have cards that tell you which 2, first of all, you lay 5 tiles out, then you take the first 2 and you put the one building on the left from your card. You have a card with 8 different buildings on it. You do 2 each turn. So it's like, it's programmed and you could look ahead and see like maybe what you're going to get, but it's actually pretty amazing because often don't want the good set. You want to maybe pick something that will, or you're trying to, of course, you know, whenever you do the I split, you choose, you're trying to make something tempting for them and hope that you get what you want out of that, right? And it is a really, really neat game. And we have, Nikki kept wanting to play it, but we kind of wanted to just play it with 3. And we just have had too many other things in the way, and I wish we hadn't done that because the game is really fun. It's available, I think it's actually buyable. We did film it the other day, and with Dave, and it is really, really clever. And you have to really pay attention, you know, because the buildings don't have to be on matching tiles as long as they're adjacent, and then anything that touches in the connections scores for it. So it's, you know, if you have a quarry and then you got 4 white tiles next to it, then that's 4 points. If you get another quarry building next to that, you score those same 4 points. And so it's really neat and really quick. It's only 4 rounds. You're going to go back and forth, going to draw from one person twice and the other person twice. And there's also some gems that you have to put a gem on the lower count tile one. So you could do 5, you could take all 5 tiles and put 1 gem. The gems are great because it's not pyramid scoring, but it's like, you know, a massive jump from 9 to, you know, I mean, it's anybody that starts to get a higher amount of them can really, really take the lead. And so I love that little bit of a, like, hey, if I'm going to give you something bad, you're going to have this that could be fantastic for you. So it is really, really well done and surprising. So the designer's Eugenie Petrov, and I really wish we'd played it sooner because it's really fun. So let's get to the news part. Let's start with you, Stephen. What did you, have you got some interesting stuff to tell us? Any follow-up on the Meeple stuff?
No more. Meeplegate is not died down, I guess we could say. I mean, it's still, it's going to be out there for a long time, and seeing how it all unfolds. But we covered that already, and there hasn't been any new things on that. I do have an invitation to interview Hans im Glück, so I may or may not take them up on that. We will see.
Well, I
just saw GameFound is starting a podcast called "The People's Behind the Meeples" or something, and I thought,
oh wow, that's great. That is great, and they should, But let's move on from Meeplegate for a little while. If anybody wants to know about Meeplegate, you can either listen to the last episode of Board Game Geek Show, or you can listen to Board Games Insider. Quick plug, of course. So, other news going on. It was a slightly slower news week than usual, but we had a bunch of things on the Embracer Group that came out recently, and that is the parent company of Asmodee. We've talked recently, of course, here and on my show about that Embracer is splitting itself into 3 separate companies, with Asmodee being one of them. Middle-earth Enterprises and some others there in the second, and the third one is the comics and electronic gaming, Dark Horse Comics and electronic gaming. And Asmodee is being saddled with, for lack of a better term, quite a bit of debt in all of this. So Embracer Group, in all of this financial restructuring and corporate restructuring, they have announced that they have repaid back on its revolving credit facility, $300 million, which is obviously quite a bit of money. They've paid that back, and then they've secured a new $650 million revolving credit, which, wait, that just sounds a little like, well, they repaid back 300, but now they're getting 650. So that sounds like they're adding more debt. As I kind of mentioned in some of this past stuff when we've brought this up, nobody lends money unless they believe they're going to get
it back, yeah.
And the people, the banks that they have gone to for this are some of the biggest banks in the world who have gladly given them money. And that was banks like Citibank North America, JP Morgan, Bank Paribas. So these are like, I just mentioned 3 of the biggest banks in the world who have been part of the 7 banks that have, as a conglomeration, have given them a larger revolving credit line. What does all of this mean in general? The banks believe that Embracer Group and Asmodee and all of those companies are doing well, and this is not the end of Embracer or Asmodee or all of the companies that we're talking about. So this is all good news in general. We should, in the end, after this restructuring, see the continuation of growth within the industry, within Asmodee specifically. So stay tuned. And all of those companies that I mentioned that are being separated, that's all going to finalize that transaction on or around March 30th, April 1st of next year, which is when the fiscal year for Embracer Group starts and ends. So stay tuned for that.
Interesting.
The next couple of things I have is all about Gamma. And how Gamma is doing these days. So the first thing was that, I got back from Origins. I was a guest of honor there, and I hosted the Origins Awards. It was a lot of fun, the entire experience there. But they had some pretty darn good attendance numbers. Their attendance for 2024 was at 17,700, which is up over 9%, almost 10% from 2023, which is 16,082. Still down from the pre-pandemic high that they had of 20,600. But the bottom line is here that Origins is doing well. Gamma is putting a lot of money into it. They had a huge track of science fiction and fantasy stars that were there, like Kevin Sussman from The Big Bang Theory. I mean, that's not neither science fiction or fantasy, but he was there. Adrian Palicki, I think her name is, from the Orville, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Yes, those are her claims to fame. So they put a lot of money into bringing some pretty big guests there that were, signing autographs and all the things that big media guests do. I got to play werewolf with a bunch of them, which was very cool. They had a celebrity werewolf show, and for an hour we were playing one night Ultimate Werewolf, and I got to play with a bunch of them, and they were just really nice people. So that was a kind of a cool thing to do. So Origins is back. Anybody commenting? You feel free to. I'm
didn't get to go.
A couple more things. You didn't get to go. Nobody here went.
No.
We weren't
bad
guests of honor,
so no.
Other plans.
It's right after BGG Con. It's a challenge. That was part of your travel block, of the last travel block that you had. So
the last travel block before the current, the one that just finished travel block.
Yeah.
Yes, but another thing that is very interesting that Gamma is doing, and they announced that they have opened up their Horizon Fellowship applications for 2024. And this is where selected participants can receive $1,000 grant for operational expenses for things that they're going to do. That could be for new publishers. It could be for game stores. Many people can apply, and I don't know the number of fellowships they give out per year. I was kind of scanning this right now to see it, what it is, but I don't see the number they give out. But it's very cool that they do this. And if you have a project that you'd like them to review to see if you would qualify for that, some of the things that that they mention in here, like I said, retailers, prospective retailers, prospective publishers, all of these types of companies can get these stipends essentially to start or to continue their business. I don't have the link here to apply, but if you go to gamma.org and you look for the Horizons Fellowship application, I guarantee that you'll be able to find that, and hopefully you could be selected, which is kind of neat.
Cool.
And that's it. They also inducted a whole bunch of people into the Hall of Fame, the Academy of Adventure Gaming Arts and Design. They do this every year as part of the Origins Awards. And of note, maybe the most important in the board game world was Matt Leacock, right? Noted designer of Pandemic and Forbidden Island and Forbidden Desert. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame, and he gave a little speech there. You could tell he was very moved by the whole thing. Former inductees include Eric Lang and
Wolfgang Kramer.
There's a whole bunch of people that are part of that already.
Mike Elliott.
Mike Elliott. He actually kind of hosts that segment of the award. So Mike was there. He's a good guy. So that was really great to be part of, to watch that all unfold. So that's it on the news side. The GAMA has been criticized. They constantly get a lot of criticism from various people, but they do a lot of good things, and Origins proved out to be a pretty great show to be part of. So thank you to GAMA for throwing that and doing a good job.
So now that we're done with news, hey Eric, what kind of news do you have to tell us?
Game news.
Following Origins. Following Origins, we have Gen Con, right, which we've already talked about, taking place roughly 2 weeks from when we're recording this. And the Gen Con 2024 preview on BGG has 551 items listed. Last year, I think it was 555, so maybe we're done. There'll be like another, some trickling in. But the Spiel Essen 24 preview debuted 8 days ago from when we're recording this. And at the moment, it has 542 listings.
Wow. Wow. And you're going to double that number probably.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Last 2023, we ended up with 1,234. Nice number there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. So we'll see what happens. But it's just funny that, Spiel is going to surpass, that preview will surpass the Gen Con one before Gen Con opens.
Right.
Kind of crazy. But yeah,
wild.
Lots of stuff going on. Among other announcements, I've noticed there seems to be a lot of anniversary editions hitting the market. Yeah, there's No Thanks has its 20-year anniversary, and so Amigo has a new edition of that. And Ghost Fighting Treasure Hunters, 10-year anniversary, although technically I think it came out in 2013, but it's a 2014 Kindred winner.
I think it won the award, yeah.
Yeah, in 2014. So that's a new edition. Brian Yu wrote a designer diary.
Yep.
That's on BGG News today. Sushi Go has a 10th anniversary edition.
Bento box one. I got one of those. They're pretty neato.
Yes, I know. So this is not to show off here, but yes, they sent this. It's got this special wood case. I haven't even opened this yet.
I did. It's pretty neato. We're doing an unboxing for it here.
I feel like I do it on camera here. Well, I want to unbox the whole thing. And also, look, they engrave it when they send it to media people, so then you can't sell it.
Well, you could.
That's right.
They're like, just see it off,
that you want,
but I'm not going to give it away. I'm so excited about it. It was really nice.
Yes. So it's got some special blingy bits. It's got like a Sushi Boat player token for who goes first, and it's got new desserts that haven't been included before. So, Sushi Go's rolling along. It's kind of funny because it's just one of those titles that, of course, gamers don't talk about, but it just sells, continually sells.
Sure.
Yeah. So
I can't believe that's like I was shocked it'd been 10 years. Both of these seem like they weren't that far back, but.
Well, that's because once you get to a certain age, it doesn't seem.
It all seems like it was yesterday.
Yeah. You're just like, oh, yeah, okay. I remember getting No Thanks when I went to Spiel 2004. That was my first Spiel.
Yeah.
Got it there.
Geschenkt, I think it was then.
Geschenkt. It was just, it was very cool. Speaking of 10 years in the business, Phil Barrows, a designer who used to be on staff with Simon, has now left, right? And you think of his designs with Simon, and then by comparison, he's starting a new company in Brazil trying to highlight the Brazilian game industry. And his company is called Samba Studios. And he's starting with 3 titles, all card games, very small. And it's really interesting. I posted an article about them and a couple of other Brazilian designs, and there were just so many Brazilian commenters and people on there just talking about it. And it's really interesting to have that tiny little window into the Brazilian market, because I have not been there. I don't know what it's like. I barely see it through my blinds here.
We've been talking about the Brazilian market as being like potentially like the next big thing. the next just growing market that's just going to springboard very interesting new designs, because there's been a bunch of things happening there. So maybe it's going to be the case, maybe not.
Cool.
And Phil Barrow said he read an article about the Brazilian market, sort of things going on there, and ideally it'll put a picture in people's head other than Kickstarters don't ship there. So
yeah, that's the downer. It's been a real problem.
Yeah, that's a drawback. But apparently there's a lot going on there, and so we'll see what he has to say. I'm very curious.
What did he design? What did he design for Simon? Out of curiosity.
You are putting me on the spot here. It is the type of Simon games that Eric never plays. So
right.
Okay, fair.
Oh wow,
that's right.
That's a good description.
Yeah.
You know, it's heavier.
That's right. It's got miniatures. You know, it's got whatever, fantasy something or other. I don't know.
Cool minis.
Not my stuff.
Or not.
Not my bag. Yeah. That's right. I'm not.
Okay.
Last thing is sort of interesting. Just there's a I blanked on the designer's name. I'm gonna pull it up.
The cool minis. It was not or not that you're not cool. I'm just saying cool minis are. She said cool minis, and I said or not. That's Simon.
That's right.
You're cool.
So there's a game that came out in Japan in 2021, Hachi Train by Toshiki Arao, self-published through A-Team, and it got some publicity. And ArcLight, you know, much larger publisher. Arroyo is just a self-publisher, so ArcLight is a bigger, you know, distribution, presence, all that. Licensed the game, worldwide rights. Came out with Nana Toridori, a new edition with slightly changed rules. And then Cocktail Games announced an edition called Jungo that I'm like, that sounds really familiar. And it turns out Cocktail also ended up with worldwide rights to Hachi Train outside of Japan. Due to a small bit of confusion between the licensor and the designer and this, that, you know, it's just some issues going on there. But they hashed everything out, and they both developed the games a bit from what Hachi Train was. And they're like, yeah, I think these are different enough. We're cool. We'll just be on the market together. And someone wants to license one, cool. They license another, whatever, you know.
Well, see how that's very friendly. That's not the way.
Well,
that's good. Yeah. That's good to hear. I mean, friendly resolution is good.
For sure.
Yeah. Well,
this is business news. Yeah. You should have given me this news.
It is a little business news, but it's also just sort of the.
It's very cool.
You know, the
it's very cool
element.
News. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's. I mean, it's all just. It was honest mistakes from talking to people.
Yeah.
And one didn't know the other, and it's all like, you know, you pass a deal and a hand goes around and a hand goes around, and then eventually they meet and they're like, huh, how'd that happen? So, you know, but yeah, they worked out cool. Lots of things in the game industry, it's just like, you know, we want people to succeed. You know, you don't have to fail necessarily for me to succeed.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
That is very true.
Nice way to do it.
Well, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So,
anybody else have anything they want to share?
Oh, was there something else? So I'll just mention Cocktail's version is called Jungo, and it'll debut at the beginning of 2025, and it looks exactly like Trio, because Trio was another game. Cocktail does this where they like license super tiny designs, and then they develop it and they package it and they make it look super attractive, and then Hanabi wins Spiel des Jahres. So
right.
So they've done this a fair number of times. Trio gets recommended and won Asdor. So yeah, they're very good with that sort of packaging and presentation. Put that out there for mainstream hit. That's what they're going for. So
well, cool.
That's what they're doing.
That's awesome. I mean, I love Cocktail. I know Eric actually had a game published by Cocktail back in the day. That's pretty exciting.
Yes, which I get no royalties for now, and so I didn't talk about Cocktail for 2 years. When they published my game, I was just like, I felt super embarrassed because it was just like, well, it's more just like, I don't want to seem like I've got industry connections and that's why my game got published and they want me to talk about. So like I went the other direction where I essentially did not talk about them for 2 years. So it's almost like punishing them for publishing my game. I get super embarrassed about that type of stuff. And so.
Well, that was still exciting and, you know. You designed a game. It got released. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Sure.
Well, I guess that's it for this month. We're going to leave on Eric's disappointment and having a game published. I don't know.
That's right. I've never played the published version. I cannot pick it up. I'm never touching it again. So.
What are you saying, Steven?
I'm going to mention I got again a lot of travels coming up like crazy. I'll be at the WBC if anybody.
Oh yeah. You want to tell us about that? I want to hear about what you're saying. What you're going to be playing.
Well, I don't know when this is coming out versus when that starts. It starts tomorrow. In like a week. Tomorrow? No.
No, this is coming out tomorrow.
Next week. Oh, wow. Well, therefore, next week I'll be at the WBC, and I'll be playing all the games that Candace loves, so she's going to be jealous when I talk about all the games next time that I play at the WBC. That's right.
Yeah.
War of the Ring, Dune War for Arrakis, Struggle of Empires, Nemesis Lockdown. We end up playing we used to play Twilight Imperium, but we don't have the same people that normally would show up for that. So Star Wars Rebellion, I'm going to finally get a chance to play. So this is going to be.
You've never played it?
I'm not. Don't judge. I have not played that one. So I know.
We all can't play everything.
Can't play it all.
That's
it's sitting there on the shelf of shame. It's right there on the shelf of shame.
It's a shelf of opportunity. Do not say that.
Opportunity.
Yeah.
It's like Eric upside down world.
If anybody's going to be there, just come over and say hi, and maybe we can get a drink or play a game together. It'll be fun.
Cool. Well, there you go. I guess that's it for the month of July. Hopefully we'll see everybody have a great time. We are very excited to be at Gen Con. If you happen to be there, come up and say hello to us. And we should be back again next. And I thought you said it won't be good by that time. It'll be a bad cucumber.
We've got other cucumbers growing.
Okay.
This one is
if you keep them chilled, it'll probably be okay. Anyway,
I have a suitcase of cucumbers.
Check out all the new shows.
TSA will love me.
Make sure you wrap it in foil like the bass player in Spinal Tap. Anyway, we'll be back again next month. Everybody take care. Safe travels to everybody, especially to Steven, who's going to be gone for another month. I need to live in your house. I'm coming out to Florida. I'm going to keep an eye on your place for you.
I don't know why I own this place anymore.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, really. I mean, I could easily rent it. I would probably save money.
It's like Airbnb it, man. It's Florida.
Airbnb my house that I just remodeled. I don't know.
Well, who knows? Anyway, you guys take care. Have a great one, and we'll see you again next month. Thanks for joining us on the BGG Board Game Geek Show. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.